traders, to our midweek technical analysis video. So jumping straight into things here, as you know, this was the market open for gold. We initially saw price continue bullish, with price first finding resistance at this level of around 3,370. Price then dropped down, finding support at this level of 3,355, and then price pushed up to sort of double top and double test at the same level as we saw previously upon market open. Since then, price then became bearish, eventually finding support at one of our points of interest, or within one of our points of interest at around 3,343, give or take. Price then pushed up, began to consolidate, and then we saw another test, sort of a double test like we saw at this resistance level of support at around that 3,343 level. Price then pushed up bullish, eventually finding a resistance at 3,365, which is one of our lower time frame points of interest. Since that happened, price came all the way down to eventually find support at 3,320. Price began to consolidate as volume dropped out of the market and we entered into the Asian session. Once volume then picked itself back up, we came to test that 3,340 area as a resistance on previous support, so a significant move there. As you can see, again, then price then became bearish, testing that 3,320, and then we've seen an enormous jump on gold. So let's go into our lower time frames and just go over what has happened here. So there was a news release today with speculation on President Trump firing Fed Chair Powell. Why is this such a significant thing, and why has it affected the market so much? What we're going to go ahead and do is go to our DXY. So what is DXY? DXY represents the strength of the dollar. It is the dollar index. So this is the strength of the dollar as of right now. And as you can see, the complete opposite what we just saw on gold. The DXY has completely plummeted all the way down to 97.71. Indicating to us that the dollar has completely weakened after that news release, and obviously in turn, like I've spoke about before, gold has the price of gold has increased. So as of the rest of this week, it's quite unclear as to what we could expect as this bullish momentum and this current volatility / volume within gold is the result of a news event. So things will slow down and price action will return to normal at some point. Will the market recorrect itself all the way? Probably not. However, we will probably see, once the market's volume drops back down and then we see like I said, price action continuing as normal, we most likely will see price to come sort of within this little area here. So but other than that, we can't really go off of too much information, as obviously we have seen this extremely bullish push, and then obviously price is starting to recorrect itself. Obviously within this one candle we saw roughly around 400 pips of movement in 1 hour, which is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, we go to our minute one and have a little closer look. You can see that this happened ridiculously fast. Sort of from about 4 o'clock or building up to 4 o'clock, we had normal price action, and then the price just completely flew. So going back to hour one then, so what could we expect to potentially see next week? For the rest of the week, and what have we seen this week? So obviously we saw that initial open from the market with price becoming bullish. We tested that level a few times, found some support levels. However, price has continued that bearish momentum since that level of 3,370 was touched, with price creating lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs. Obviously, we probably would have seen a lower low if this news event didn't take place. However, obviously it has, so we have to now adapt and we have to change our overall bias, and we will let the market now slow down in volume, slow down in volatility, and then return to normal price action before we can get a real or realistic gauge of what we could expect to see for the next for the rest of this week and then going into next week. Obviously, I'm really interested to see how the market slows down and where it slows down, and obviously we'll touch up on that in our post-week market review. But I think for gold this week thus far, the price has been pretty bearish. However, this has sort of changed opinions, if you will. So we're going to touch back in on our post-week market review. So make sure you are staying tuned for that, because I will catch you right there. And this has been our midweek technical analysis. I hope you've all enjoyed. As always, I'll catch you in the next one.